Discover the heartwarming truth, my son revealed the incredible dinner they had without me. Karen felt the weight of the world pressing down as she flipped pancakes at the diner, the sizzle of batter drowning out her own thoughts. Tomorrow was Tyler's birthday, and all she wanted was to celebrate with him like they did every year: homemade lasagna, chocolate cake, laughter filling their tiny kitchen. The thought of his shining eyes when he tasted her creations warmed her heart amidst the clatter of plates. But her manager's voice cut through her daydreams, the dreaded news echoing in her ears: "You're scheduled for the night shift." Crushed. That was the only word that could describe how she felt. As she cleaned tables, she fought back tears, each clink of silverware a reminder of her inability to uphold their sacred tradition. Tyler was counting on her, and she felt like she had let him down before the day even arrived. As the diner buzzed with customers, she glanced out the window, imagining the laughter and excitement they would miss. Meanwhile, young Tyler was right at home, sensing something wasn't quite right. It was all in his mother's tight smile and the way her eyes seemed to be searching for hope. He wished he could ease her pain, like she always did for him. Inspired by her unwavering love, he summoned his friends and hatched a secret plan. With wide eyes and a heart full of purpose, he ran to Mrs. Johnson next door, an elderly lady who always had time for a warm smile and a helping hand. "Can you help me make a birthday dinner for my mom?" he asked, his excitement contagious. "I want it to be a surprise." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Tyler and the neighbors transformed their house into a little miracle. The kitchen was alive with the aroma of homemade bread and the clattering of pots. Laughter bounced off the walls, filling the air with a joyful energy that Karen could never have imagined. When Karen finally arrived home after a long day of work, exhaustion heavy in her bones, she froze in the doorway. There it was, a magical sight. A table adorned with twinkling lights and a spread that would make any restaurant jealous. Lasagna, garlic bread, and a towering chocolate cake awaited her. "Mama!" Tyler beamed, running toward her, the warmth of his love wrapping around her like a blanket. Karen's heart swelled. This was no ordinary dinner. Their neighbors gathered around, their faces lit up with smiles and kindness, welcoming her into this beautiful moment. But as she soaked in the joy, her heart tightened. How could she be deserving of all this? Was it just pity or real love? A pregunta lingered in her mind, mixing elation with uncertainty. "Isn't it great, Karen?" one neighbor chimed, trying to bridge the divide with good intentions. It was like a brick wall hit her. Questions flooded her mind. Would they ever see her as more than just a struggling single mom? The tension in the air crackled as her gut tightened at the words that had barely left his lips. At that moment, Karen squeezed Tyler's hand, feeling how it was grounded in their love. Though they were in the heart of their community, could they ever truly fit in? Her thoughts whirled like a storm. Would this gesture mean understanding, or would they forever remain on the outskirts? As laughter rang out, Karen felt the love of that moment wash over her, yet worry hung in the air like a gray cloud. Would this be a turning point for them, a bridge over the worrying divide? Would they finally be seen not as a statistic, but as a family deserving of love? With a lump in her throat, she glanced at Tyler, the resilient light of her life, searching his face for signs of hope. What would tomorrow bring? Karen sat at the beautifully set table, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. The glowing candles flickered, casting warm shadows that danced around the room. Tyler's friends were buzzing with energy, sharing stories and snippets of laughter that made Karen's heart swell. But the shadow of self-doubt loomed large. She was still haunted by thoughts of inadequacy. As the lasagna was served, the rich aroma filled the air, enticing everyone at the table. Karen watched as Tyler took a sizable bite, his eyes lighting up with delight. "This is the best, Mama!" he exclaimed, and the way he looked at her made her heart ache with love and confusion. Did he genuinely consider this a celebration, or was it merely a distraction from what he truly wanted? The neighbors cheered, and Karen offered a shaky smile in return, yet the joy felt bittersweet. "I didn't even cook this," she thought. She felt the invisible thread tug between them, the joy of the moment tangled with the question of her worth. Could the love of her community help her shed the doubt that clung to her like an unwelcome guest? "Let us make a toast," Mrs. Johnson called out, raising her glass. To families, love, and unexpected surprises. Every glass clinked, a chorus of goodwill, yet Karen felt like an outsider peeking in. It should have been a moment of unity, but she remained at a distance, battling her insecurities. Amid all the merriment, she couldn't shake the feeling of being a project rather than part of the family tapestry they all wove. Just as that thought began to chip away at her resolve, Tyler leaned over, eyes shining. "Mama, can you tell us about the time you cooked lasagna for the first time?" The room quieted, all eyes now on her, waiting for a story. Karen took a breath, the weight of her thoughts falling momentarily as laughter bubbled in her chest. She began to recount the disaster of that first attempt, how she had burned the edges and served an unintended charred masterpiece. Everyone laughed, and for the first time that evening, Karen felt lighter. They were sharing in her imperfections. The laughter stripped away the layers of judgment she feared existed, revealing warmth instead. For every half-burned meal, there was a lesson, a shared moment. Slowly, a realization dawned upon her. Maybe this is how they saw her, not a struggling mother, but a woman full of stories, filled with love, overcoming obstacles one meal at a time. As the night wore on, she caught little glimpses of connection, Mrs. Johnson sharing a piece of wisdom, a neighbor reminiscing about their own attempts in the kitchen. With each story shared, Karen felt like she was weaving herself into the fabric of this community. Maybe she did belong here, despite her past, but just as hope flickered bright, Tyler's innocent question cut through the ceiling of her newfound joy. "Mama, can we invite everyone over for dinner next week? Just the way you used to." Before he paused, a shadow passing over his expression. The room fell silent. It was a simple request, yet every word seemed laden with weight. Karen felt a wave of emotions rush through her, excitement mixed with the avalanche of fear and doubt. Could she take on that challenge? As everyone looked at her with expectant faces, a truth emerged. The answer was not just about making another dinner, it was about truly stepping into her role as a mother and as a part of this community. Would she have the courage to say yes? An exhilarating sense of possibility hung in the air as Karen clutched her son's hand tightly. Tomorrow wasn't just his birthday, it was the threshold of a brand new chapter. Would she finally embrace her place in their shared story? The question echoed in her heart as the night sky twinkled outside, full of stars just waiting to bear witness. The next morning arrived with the soft light of dawn streaming through the kitchen window. Karen stood over the sink, staring out at the frost-kissed grass, her mind partly still wrapped in the laughter and joy of the night before, but mostly replaying Tyler's request. She leaned against the counter, wringing her hands together. Invite everyone over, just like before. The words spun in her head. Memories of past gatherings flooded her mind, the laughter, the noise, the warmth of friends surrounding them like a protective hug. She had been the heart of those events, pouring her love into each dish. Yet, could she reclaim that part of herself? The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. As she scrubbed the pan from last night's lasagna, memories of her kitchen filled with friends and family soothed her. There, she felt alive, preparing meals, laughing, sharing stories. But with the warmth also came the ghost of her insecurities. She had turned inward since the divorce. Could she still bear the weight of those memories, knowing she stumbled so much over the past few years? "Mom." Tyler's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her away from the turbulent seas of worry. He skidded into the kitchen, a whirlwind of energy, beams of sunlight rippling through his hair. "Can we make the invitations today? I want to help." His enthusiasm was contagious. The way his eyes sparkled made her heart swell. Maybe if she let him in, if they both dove into this together, she could rediscover that part of herself, the part she so dearly missed. "All right, buddy," she replied, mustering a smile. "Let us do it." They spent the morning with crayons and colorful paper, crafting deliberate invitations decorated with doodles and Tyler's hilarious attempts at spelling. The laughter they shared was a symphony, every giggle rang through the house like a rising crescendo, lifting their spirits higher. With each card they created, Karen felt those fears loosen, as if the act of planning brought them both closer to that beautiful past. After their invitation-making session, Tyler leaned against the kitchen island, a comic book in hand. "So, what's on the menu for dinner?" The question hung in the air, filled with hope and excitement. Karen hesitated. What could she make? Surely she could whip up a stunning dinner, but what if it fell flat? Mixing flavors and preparing a feast felt monumental. Maybe lasagna again? Tyler suggested, his face lighting up. Or we could try that yummy garlic bread we had last time? A tiny spark ignited in Karen's chest. The garlic bread. It was a simple yet delightful addition to any meal. She began to daydream about family chatting at the table, about Mrs. Johnson's laugh ringing through the house as they all gathered around, plates piled high. As she pondered, she reached for her notebook, jotting down ideas, feeling a new surge of determination wash over her. With each suggestion, they moved closer to the vision of that night, of welcoming everyone into their home once more. But the excitement that filled her heart also brought uncertainty. Would she be able to recreate the comfortable magic of the past? As if sensing her uncertainty, Tyler put his hand on hers. It's okay, Mom. It will be fun, and I'll help you. Hearing his faith in her brought a new wave of warmth. Karen took a deep breath, filled with gratitude. This moment held promise, a chance to rebuild what had been lost, yet with that anticipation came a nagging sense of dread. Was she truly ready to open her heart again, to expose herself to failure? Would she be able to handle the weight of her past mistakes? In the stillness of the moment, a decision hovered in the back of her mind. Tomorrow would be their first step. Would she dare to not only cook again but also reintegrate into the community that had been so good to her? The rest of the day stretched in front of her like an uncharted map, full of possibilities. Karen turned to Tyler with a grin. Let us get cooking. But as a gust of wind slipped through the window, bringing in the chill of the fading season, she couldn't shake the question. Would she finally transform doubt into a vibrant tapestry of love and belonging? The day of the gathering arrived, bright and clear, the sun pouring warmth into the kitchen as Karen bustled about, trying to contain her nerves. Somehow, the familiar sounds of pots clanging and the aroma of simmering sauce wrapped around her like a comforting shawl, urging her to push through the uncertainty. Tyler was already awake and buzzing with excitement, switching between helping her chop vegetables and sneaking bites of the garlic bread. Mom, this is going to be epic. Just wait until everyone sees the spread. His unfiltered enthusiasm brought a brightness to her heart, but shadows of doubt still lingered. Could she impress everyone after her long absence from the social scene? Was her cooking still good enough? As if sensing the cloud of worry overhead, Tyler paused, gazing at her with his wide, earnest eyes. Are you okay? Karen smiled, hiding her turmoil behind a brave facade. Of course. Just thinking about how much fun it's going to be. Her demeanor buoyed by his honesty, she returned to her tasks, infusing a little extra love into every stir of the sauce. Maybe she didn't have to be perfect. Maybe just being herself, fully present with her son, was all that mattered. By mid-afternoon, the kitchen was filled with the sounds of laughter, water boiling, and bread toasting. The table was set, bright cloths draped with mismatched plates, bringing an air of unintentional whimsy. Tyler dashed about, preparing for their guests, his small hands trying to carry too many napkins at once. Can I put the invitations on everyone's chairs? He asked with bubbling excitement. Absolutely. That'll be a cute surprise. Karen grinned, her heart swelling with pride. As evening approached, the doorbell rang, sending a ripple of nervous energy through Karen. Family and friends began to trickle into her home. Mrs. Johnson, with her signature casserole in tow, the Ramirez family armed with homemade desserts, and Derek, their old neighbor, whose jokes somehow managed to lighten even the heaviest moods. With each familiar face that crossed the threshold, Karen felt her worries ease. Conversations flowed like the Chianti wine that she poured, igniting connections that had lain dormant for too long. She found herself laughing again, the sound mingling with the melodies of friendship punctuated by joyful voices. The center of all this affection, Karen glanced at Tyler, who was animatedly showing his comic books to a captivated audience. The sight melted her heart. He stood as a beacon of innocence, bringing people together, just as she used to. But by dessert, she anxiously approached Mrs. Johnson as laughter erupted from a joke Derek had just shared. Did you think the lasagna was okay? She blurted out, surprising herself with the sudden vulnerability. Mrs. Johnson lifted her brows in delight. Karen, it was fantastic. Really, the best I've had in ages. You've got it back. A wave of relief washed over her. The next few minutes blended into a blur of gratitude and joy, her heart swelling with the recognition that perhaps she really was reclaiming this lost part of herself. Yet, amidst the laughter and shared stories, Karen couldn't shake the feeling of something unspoken, a fluttering concern hiding beneath the surface. As the guests began to gravitate toward the living room for a game, she caught Tyler's eye. There was something he wanted to tell her, something that seemed to pulse with importance behind his eager grin. "Mom, can we talk?" His expression carried a weight she didn't quite understand, an urgency that stalled the laughter surrounding them. With her heart racing, she nodded, leading him into the quiet of the hallway, away from the jubilant crowd. "What's on your mind, buddy?" For just a second, Karen's breath hitched as Tyler's expression turned serious, the moment hanging like the weight of a secret. "I didn't tell you everything about the invitations," he began, voice trembling slightly. The chill of impending revelation washed over Karen. What was it that he hadn't shared? What truth could shake what felt like the rekindled warmth of their home? Her heart pounded in anticipation as she leaned closer, determined to hear what he had to say. Would this open door to their renewed life expose a crack that could change everything again? "Mom, I didn't want anyone to worry. But I invited someone else," Tyler said, hesitating as if weighing the words. The basement of the house felt heavy as Karen let his words sink in. "Who did you invite?" she asked softly, bracing herself for what was to come. "Jake." There it was, the name that tightened her chest. Jake was her late husband's brother, someone she hadn't spoken to in years. Their relationship had grown strained after the tragedy that left her a single mother, feeling like she shouldered the weight of the world alone. She remembered the way Jake's visits had become less frequent, his laughter fading like a long-lost melody. "Tyler," she started, her voice shaking, I don't know if that was the best idea." "But he's family," Tyler exclaimed, his excitement palpable. "He hasn't seen you in so long." "I thought it would be great." Karen's heart twisted. She loved Tyler's innocence, his belief in family bonds. But could she swallow her own resentment for the sake of a dinner? "You don't understand, honey. It's complicated." "Why?" His big brown eyes searched hers, earnest and desperate for an answer. "I just wanted everyone to be together." The frustration bubbled within, but she held it at bay. He was just a kid wanting to connect the dots that had fallen apart. "I know, Tyler. But sometimes together comes with a lot of messy feelings. You have to understand." Suddenly, the doorbell rang again, shattering the heaviness of the moment. Action flooded the hallway as laughter erupted once more from the living room. "He's here," Tyler whispered, eyes alight with eagerness. Maybe just tell him to avoid me?" Just the thought of facing Jake filled her veins with ice. "No way. Let us just see what happens. I promise it'll be okay." A stubborn flame flickered in Tyler's gaze, reminiscent of his father's determined spirit. With every pulse of her heart, anxiety gripped Karen tighter. She could already hear the old bitterness lurking in the back of her mind, reminding her of conversations never finished, of wounds never healed. But she had created a warm space for laughter and connection tonight, one that she couldn't let fear tear apart. "Okay," she whispered finally, a reluctant agreement mingling with apprehension. "Let us just see how it goes." Tyler beamed with pure joy, racing back into the living room. Karen remained rooted in place, battling the swirling emotions threatening to spill over. She exhaled slowly, trying to ground herself in the moment as she mentally prepared for the collision of past and present. Stepping back into the vibrant chaos of voices, she caught a glimpse of Jake, hovering near the snack table, his hands in his pockets. He was taller than she remembered, but the hint of sadness still lurked behind his smile. With Tyler's innocent laughter bouncing around them, She felt herself caught between wanting to embrace the past and needing to guard her heart. As the minutes ticked by and guests continued to arrive, Karen felt the room closing in on her. Would she find the courage to face Jake? Could she swallow the bittersweet memories enough to extend a hand and heal the rift that had once separated them? Just then, before she could take a step forward, she overheard Derek sharing a story about the time she and Tyler had made their first pie. The laughter filled her up like the warm aroma of cooking from the kitchen. Maybe tonight could mend things she thought were permanently broken, but as she glanced back at Jake, he caught her eye, and she saw a flicker of hope mixed with uncertainty in his expression. The moment hung heavily between them, a silent challenge lingering in the air. Would she take that step, face the unfamiliar territory of vulnerability, and risk it all? The door to their shared past stood ajar, but was she brave enough to walk through it? Karen's breath hitched as she stood frozen, staring at Jake. The world around her transformed into a hum as laughter and clinking glasses faded to a distant echo. In that split second, it was just her and him, two souls tethered by shared history, yet separated by the weight of silence. Jake glanced down at the floor, his shoulders tense. He had always been the one who kept things bottled up, never quite knowing how to let the hurt spill out, just like her. But amidst her confusion, a whisper of recognition tugged at her heart. Maybe Tyler was right. Maybe tonight could be different. With resolve brewing within her, Karen took a step forward, the distance between them narrowing just enough to bridge the years of unspoken words. "Jake," she said, her voice barely above a whisper but strong enough to break the spell. His head snapped up, surprise painting his features. "Karen," he replied, the tension in his voice palpable. It sounded like a question, a cautious inquiry into what was possible. "Tyler, he just wanted everyone to be together," she implored, trying to keep her emotions in check. "I know it's been a long time," but the corner of Jake's mouth lifted slightly, a quirk of a smile that didn't quite erase the shadows of pain in his eyes. "Yeah, I get it. I haven't been around much either." The admission hung in the air like a confession. "I guess I thought maybe it was easier to stay away." "I thought so too," Karen replied, her heart racing. "But maybe we've both missed something important." Silence enveloped them, ripe with the weight of everything left unsaid. A gentle hum of music floated in from the living room, as if urging them to find harmony in their discord. The laughter of the guests reminded her of the times when family felt whole, when love was uncomplicated. "I miss the way things used to be," Jake admitted, an undeniable vulnerability in his words. "I missed you, Car." Those words cut deep, echoing the ache she had buried for so long. "I miss it too, Jake. I miss who we were," she said finally, letting her guard down just a little. They stood there for a moment, the shared weight of their past pressing down heavily but also lifting ever so slightly, creating a spark of hope. Just as they were on the brink of understanding, Tyler burst back into the scene, his cheerful energy radiating light and warmth. "Mom, Jake!" he exclaimed, oblivious to the fragile moment between them. "You're both here. Can I get everyone to gather in the living room for a game?" His eagerness felt infectious, a reminder that hope often comes unannounced. Karen and Jake exchanged glances, something unspoken passing between them, a fragile thread to navigate back into family ties. Maybe Tyler had unknowingly orchestrated this, a catalyst for rekindling not just their relationship but also healing long-held wounds. "Sure, buddy," Karen agreed, heart swelling with the tiniest hint of optimism. As they made their way into the living room, Karen felt a mixture of apprehension and hope. How would the evening unfold? Would laughter drown out the pain, or would shadows resurface in unexpected ways? And just as they settled into the chaotic joy of family and friends, Karen caught sight of a half-finished pie on the table, a remnant of their past baking adventures. It sparked a memory, a reminder of the simplicity of love, and she couldn't help but smile. But then the door swung open again, revealing yet another unexpected guest, one she never thought she would see. A gasp rippled through the room, and Karen's heart dropped as the familiar figure stepped inside. What would this mean for the delicate bridge she had begun to rebuild? Would the past come crashing back, or would they find a way to hold on to the moment? The night was just beginning, and it was already promising a whirlwind. The moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation and uncertainty. Karen's eyes widened, her heart racing as she processed the figure standing in the doorway. It was Rita, her sister, the one person she thought had chosen to disappear completely from their lives. Their once inseparable bond had frayed under the weight of unhealed wounds, leaving Karen feeling more alone than ever. Rita's presence stirred a maelstrom of emotions within Karen: confusion, anger, and, buried deep, a flicker of hope. The room buzzed with whispered queries as guests stood frozen, their eyes bouncing between the familiar faces in the chaos of unexpected reunion. "Rita?" Karen managed to voice, disbelief lacing every syllable. Her sister looked different, older maybe, but the warmth in her smile felt strangely familiar, like a thread woven into their shared tapestry of memories. "Surprise!" Rita responded, meeting Karen's gaze with lingering regret. "I know this is unexpected." "Unexpected doesn't even begin to cover it," Karen interrupted, the bitterness creeping back into her voice. "Where have you been?" The laughter and chatter around them faded to a dull murmur, leaving only the uncomfortable heaviness of reality pressing against them. I just needed time away. It got complicated, you know?" Rita's voice faltered, but a steely resolve took root. "But I've come back, and I want to fix this. I want to fix us." The words hung between them, holding the weight of hope but also a reckoning and potential heartbreak. Guests exchanged glances, unsure whether to leave them alone or crowd around in support. "Fix us?" Karen echoed, disbelief mingling with a glimmer of something more profound. "You left us all behind, Rita. You made that choice." I know, and I hate that I hurt you." Rita stepped closer, her voice lowering. "But I'm ready to talk, to explain what happened." Karen's heart twisted, caught between the urge to embrace her sister or shove her away. They were still standing, frozen in time. Just then, Tyler stepped forward hesitantly. He looked from Karen to Rita and then back again, brow furrowed in confusion. "Do you know each other?" he asked, wide-eyed, innocent in a way that felt cleansing. "Yeah, buddy." "She's my sister," Karen replied, a sad smile breaking through the storm. "Your aunt." Rita knelt down to him, her eyes sparkling with a hint of nostalgia. "That's right. I have missed so many birthdays and events. But I'm here now. Can we start fresh?" Tyler's face lit up, he didn't carry the weight of history like the adults did. "Can we all play a game now?" He seemed oblivious to the layers of complexity, offering a lifeline of simplicity that reminded Karen why family mattered. As laughter slowly returned to the living room, Karen felt the tension between her and Jake crack ever so slightly. He stood close, watching the unfolding moment, his expression a mix of hope and uncertainty. "Let us play," Jake finally suggested, stepping forward. "Maybe it's time we all had some fun." Karen swiveled to him, realizing how much she craved the safety of laughter amidst the chaos. Maybe this night could be a turning point, not just for her and Jake, but for all of them. The warmth of the room wrapped around them like a protective blanket, urging them all to let go. But as they settled into the joy of the moment, Karen's heart couldn't help but churn with questions. Would they truly move forward, or was this just another temporary truce? And just then, the doorbell rang again, sending a ripple of surprise through the room once more. Who else could be coming to shake up the fragile peace they had just begun to establish? Karen's heartbeat quickened at the unexpected chime of the doorbell. A mix of anxiety and curiosity twisted in her stomach. Rita glanced toward the door, uncertainty dancing in her eyes as she stood up beside Tyler. "More surprises?" she said, a half-smile gracing her lips. "Or maybe a disaster," Karen responded, sarcasm sneaking into her voice. She felt a rush of overwhelming emotions. She wanted to engage in the moment, find joy in her son's excitement, yet the confrontation with Rita was still too fresh. It threatened to spill over, just like the unfinished conversations between them. "Let me get it," Tyler chirped, eager to be the hero of the evening. He skipped to the door, bubbling with the carefree spirit of a child who saw only fun ahead. It made Karen marvel momentarily at how light he seemed, unburdened by the chaos of adult emotions. The door swung open, and a familiar figure stood there. It was Lily, their longtime family friend, balancing a tray of cookies and a stack of board games under one arm. I could smell the chaos from a mile away. Thought I'd come over with some sweet treats. Lily's voice rang out cheerily, breaking the tension in the air. Lily! Karen exclaimed, relief flooding her chest. You have no idea how timely this is. Actually, I think I do, Lily winked, her eyes darting between Karen and Rita, catching the electric tension in the room. Just because I'm not family doesn't mean I can't pick up the vibe. She rolled her eyes playfully and stepped inside. As she passed, a wave of warmth washed over Karen. Tyler, let our guest help us set up. Tyler reached for the games, skipping ahead while Lily put down the tray of cookies on the coffee table. Now, let us play something that might distract you all. How about a good old game of charades? Laughter bubbled up again, melting away the weight that had just threatened to fall upon them all. The guests began to gather, drawn from their little clusters, ready to join in. However, Karen swept her gaze toward Rita again, who stood by the wall, seemingly lost in thought. Rita? She started, unsure if she wanted to reopen their conversation within the safety of all this noise. I'll be fine, really, Rita replied, her voice steady. Let us focus on the fun. All right, Karen conceded, feeling the familiar ache in her chest. She didn't want to push Rita, but she also felt the need for resolution. The storm of emotions inside made it hard to breathe, but Tyler's laughter and Lily's infectious enthusiasm managed to pull her from the brink. They began to play, the room filled with laughter and the joy of exaggerated movements as players guessed wildly. Karen felt an ease she hadn't experienced for ages. She looked at Tyler as he jumped with excitement, and the kids' laughter had a way of erasing the last remnants of tension, but in the midst of the joy, her eyes kept flicking to Rita, who tried to engage with the game but clearly seemed distracted. The flicker of hope Karen had felt earlier now warred with an unease. What was still unspoken hung between them like a thick fog. Just as Karen was about to join in and pull Rita back into the game, she noticed Jake, standing slightly apart, watching them closely. His brow was furrowed, his eyes flashing with concern. Maybe tonight would change everything, or maybe it would lead to deeper fractures yet to be revealed. The sound of the door creaking open again cut through her thoughts. A figure stepped in, silhouetted against the light. Am I late to the party? A voice boomed, but it sent a chill down Karen's spine. Because standing there, looking directly at Karen, was the last person she had expected to see. Karen's breath hitched. For a fleeting moment, she froze in disbelief, her whole world narrowing down to that one spot in the doorway. The figure stepped further into the room, and with each stride, the past rushed back like a tidal wave. David. In the flesh. Surprise, he said, a playful grin lighting up his features. The teasing tinge in his voice reflected familiarity, yet it felt like a jagged edge cutting through the delicate facade she had worked so hard to build. David. Tyler shouted, breaking free from the half-hearted charades game. He dashed toward his father, all wide eyes and unfiltered joy. Karen forced a shaky smile, torn between happiness for her son and a whirlwind of emotion brewing inside her. Lily's voice rang out, playful yet edged with surprise. You really know how to make an entrance, David. We were just getting into the fun without you. As David scooped Tyler into his arms, Karen felt her heart race, emotions swirling, pushing against her carefully maintained composure. David's gaze landed on her, and she fought to keep her expression neutral. So am I interrupting anything? He asked, as he set Tyler down. The laughter of the kids around them echoed softly, but the question dripped with the tension hanging in the air. Just a friendly game night, Karen replied, crossing her arms in a defensive posture that only she noticed. Rita stepped forward, a determined look on her face. Actually, it looks like you brought the perfect distraction, David. Good to see you, Rita, he said, and for a moment, Karen could almost hear the unspoken words running underneath their exchange. The weight of everything unsaid buzzed like an electric charge. Jake lingered at the edge, his eyes darting between the trio, old friends reuniting. He glanced at Karen and then back to David, clearly sensing the emotional minefield they were treading. Fighting back a wave of uncertainty, Karen seized the moment. why don't you join us? We were just about to play charades. Like I'd miss out on that, David grinned, earning a chorus of excited shouts from the kids who bounced in anticipation. As he stepped away from the doorway, the rest of the guests moved closer, drawn into the warmth of the living room like moths to a flame, but the weight of his presence loomed over Karen like an uninvited guest. How would she express the years of hurt and regret amidst the laughter and joy? Each smile she forced felt hollow against the backdrop of everything that had happened. As they gathered around the coffee table, David took charge, theatrically acting out his first clue. Laughter erupted, but Karen found herself watching him, not engaging as completely as she would have liked. She felt the conflicting desires to protect her son's joy while addressing the ache in her heart residue of their shared history. The game continued, escalating in hilarity and enthusiasm, but as the joke faded and the laughter bubbled one last time, Karen couldn't shake the feeling that this reunion wasn't a simple surprise. Something deeper was at play. "Did you come back to stay, or is this just a visit?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. His laughter faltered for just a moment, and in that fleeting pause, the air thickened. The mask of lightheartedness slipped, revealing a hint of uncertainty. They all turned to her, the room quieting as her question settled, and for Karen, that one question might just change everything. The silence hung in the air, thick with an unspoken tension that rippled through the room. Karen's heart raced as all eyes turned toward David, the weight of her question pressing down so heavily that it felt like the very walls might crack. Laughter faded into an anxious stillness as everyone awaited his answer. David's playful facade faltered. He shifted slightly, glancing around the room as if unsure how to navigate the complexities laid bare. "Well," he began slowly, his voice much softer than before, "I've missed a lot, and I know that." Karen's heart thudded against her chest, a mix of hope and fear flooding her thoughts. "I came back to reconnect, with all of you." Tyler's wide eyes sparkled with excitement, oblivious to the deeper currents flowing beneath their surface. "Does this mean we can hang out more, Dad?" His innocent joy both warmed and crushed Karen's heart at once. She wanted to cheer for her son, to wrap him in love and security, but the intricacies of their past colored every interaction. "Absolutely, buddy. I'd love that," David said, crouching down to Tyler's level, his expression softening. For a brief moment, the years of separation seemed to melt away, replaced by the bond of father and son so palpable that it made Karen's eyes water. She swallowed hard, fighting the swirl of emotions threatening to overtake her, yet, beneath the surface warmth, insecurities bubbled. Could David truly mean what he said? Would he really stay, or was this another fleeting promise? Just as those questions threatened to overwhelm her, Jake's voice broke through. "You know, it's never too late to be a family again," he said, sincerity coloring his every word. "We've all got our scars, but love is still here." Karen felt a wave of gratitude for Jake in that moment, the way he stepped forward to support her. She looked at David, who met her gaze, both of them caught in the memories of what once was. The moment hung heavy once again, filled with the potential for healing or more heartbreak. "And I appreciate that, Jake," David replied, nodding thoughtfully. "I just want the chance to make things right." Then, he turned back to Karen, shifting as if trying to dislodge the weight that rested on both of their shoulders. "I know I haven't been there, and I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. But I really want to be part of Tyler's life again." A lump formed in Karen's throat. "It's not just about being here. It's about action," she said, her voice surprisingly steady despite the tumult inside her. "You have to show us you mean it, not just tell us." Their connection felt fragile, like a new plant struggling to reach the sun after a long winter. David nodded slowly, as if absorbing her words. "I understand. I promise I'll do everything I can to prove myself. To you. To Tyler." The sincerity in his voice wrapped around Karen like a warm hug, yet the specter of years lost still lingered in the back of her thoughts. The room buzzed around them, everyone eager to dive into charades, but Karen found herself at a crossroads. This moment could be a fresh start, a new beginning they had both yearned for. She took a deep breath, and in that space, the chaos shrunk, leaving just the two of them. "Let us take it day by day," Karen finally said, her heart still racing. David's face lit up with acknowledgement, a flicker of hope shining through the uncertainty. "That's all I'm asking," he replied, and a small piece of her burden lifted. For the first time in years, Karen felt something shift in her heart, a glimmer of hope. The path ahead would not be easy, with jagged edges and steep climbs, but it was theirs to navigate together. She looked around at Tyler, at Jake, and then at the laughter spilling over the edges of the room. In this moment, they were more than the sum of their scars. They were a family rehatching the threads of love, woven through shared stories and second chances. As they joined the others, laughter once again filled the room, and Karen's heart swelled with an unexpected joy. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. "Who's ready to play?" David's voice rang out, pulling everyone back into the game. Tyler eagerly jumped into the fray, laughter erupting as everyone joined in. Jake, Rita, and even David finding their place in this mosaic of imperfect beauty. In those joyous moments, Karen began to see the tapestry of their lives unfurling, richer and more intricate than she could have ever imagined. And with every laugh and playful shout, she knew this wasn't just a celebration of a night, it was a reckoning of love, trust, and family. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. As the night unfolded, Karen couldn't help but wish for one thing: the chance to start again and make it their best chapter yet. So, what are you waiting for? You need to subscribe now to our channel and not miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us share these moments. Comment below your feelings and reactions about this emotional ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us keep the love and support going strong.